Hey guys, so we're back. So now in the previous video you had learned about file permissions. So it was just a theoretical video. So now in this video we learn how do you perform it practically and verify various file permissions in Windows. So to start with, we learn about SMB permissions first. That is, how can you apply SMB permissions on folders in your Windows system? If you can recall, SMB can only be applied on folders and not on files. So now, what do is, we create two folders in our Windows server. So we've already created this. One for the user Bob and second for the user Alice. Now, if you remember, in the theoretical video, we had learned about a simple example wherein manager can read and write in his own folder. Also, he can read into the client's folder. But the client can only read and write into his folder but cannot enter the manager's folder for security reasons. So it's the same example that we are going to implement today and verify that how do SMB permissions work in a Windows system. So let us assume that Bob is my manager and Alice is my user. So in case of Bob, in order to apply SMB permissions, you right click on the folder and go to its properties. Now in the properties, you can see two tabs. One is sharing and second is security. Sharing, this tab means SMB and security, the other tab, means NTFS. So since we are talking about SMB, we go to the first tab, which is sharing. Now, if you see, it says the folder is not shared. So I will go to share, and now, as you can see, by default, everything is shared with the admin, since the admin is an important part of your IT infrastructure. So now, I try to share this folder with Bob itself because Bob is the manager and only the manager can enter his folder, not the other users. So what do is, we click on the drop down button and I say find people. Here I click or I type B and I check for the names, so it shows me Bob. So now since Bob is the manager, he can read as well as write into his own folder. Now, can Alice enter Bob's folder? Answer is no, because Alice is a normal employee and a normal employee cannot enter his boss's folder, or you may say a normal employee cannot read into his boss's files. Now, we come here in the same manner on Alice's folder. So I right click once again and go to properties. In properties, I go to sharing, share, and in the drop down, now I will search for Alice. So I select Alice, and since it is his own folder, he can read as well as write into his folder. But as we had discussed, also the manager can enter into Alice's folder and only read but not write. So once again, the drop down button, search for Bob, and as you can see, we have only given read permissions to Bob, not write. So I simply shared these folders now. That's it guys, it is so easy. In order to apply SMB permissions, you only have to go to the folder's properties and the tab is sharing. Time to verify. Now, on my client machine, as you can see, the user that is trying to log in is Bob, and Bob is our manager. Now, if I check, I cannot see any folder here because the folder is not created on this machine, but the folder is created on the server. So now, what do? In order to view those folders, you will have to type something which is known as UNC path. UNC means Universal Naming Convention. What happens here? You type backslash twice, followed by the IP address or the name of the device on which the folders are currently being shared. So in our case, the IP will be that of the server. Now, if you notice, I can see both the shared folders. One is Bob and one is Alice. The below two folders are the default folders for Windows. So since Bob has logged in, Bob should be able to enter his folder. Also, create something new because we have given him read as well as write. So he can create a new file. He can try to modify his file and let's check. Yep, it's done. Also, Bob can enter into Alice's folder. But can he try to delete file created by Alice? Answer is no, because if you can recall, we had only given read permissions to Bob whenever he tries to enter Alice's folder. So guys, a very simple video where you can verify how do SMB permissions work. Now, in the next video, we'll learn about applying NTFS permissions on folders and NTFS permissions on files. See you soon. Thank you.